$355,189 in sales in the last 45 days. And that's 13 coaching clients, high ticket, quality coaching clients that we've signed in that time period. But here's the kicker. We did it with no sales calls, no setters, no closers. And in this video, I'm going to share with you how we managed to do that. And if you don't know me, my name is John Whiting. My goal is to help online coaches just like you get to 50 to 100K a month in take-home profit in your bank account, then turn that profit into actual wealth so that one day coaching becomes optional for you. And if you want more videos to help you scale your online coaching business in a way that doesn't suck, check out the rest of the channel. Now in this video, I'm going to share with you as much as I can, but if you want to go deeper, I'm actually hosting a workshop on it this week called the Self-Closing Clients Workshop. There's a link in the description. Check out the details on that. So 284 days ago, I started an experiment. I wanted to see if I could shift my business to meet the following criteria. 1, only work with clients that I like. 2, charge a premium. 3, make 100 to 150K in take-home profit, working as much or as little as I want, doing no done-for-you work at all, and convert these clients without a sales team. Now, that's obviously a tall task because we used to have setters, closers at our most bloated. We were doing around 400K a month. We had a team of 23, and we'd close clients. We scaled, we made money, but they'd come in like this guy, prove it, mofugger. So that starts to kind of weigh on you. Maybe you're dealing with something like this as we speak. But during this experiment, what's been interesting is we've been getting more clients that are basically saying, I'm mo-fuggin' stoked. And it was funny, I was in a text thread with a good friend of mine who is also in this space, and we were kind of chatting about it. And he's like, well, if you crack that, let me know and I'll give you my life savings and investments. And so I shared with him what our results have been over the last 45 days. And well, he kind of couldn't believe it. And these are arguably the best clients that I've ever had. And it's because of how they're coming into my universe. To be clear, these are clients for our Bulletproof Boardroom, which is an advisory for 6- and 7-figure online coaches that want a business that runs itself, peace of mind every day, and wealth growing every single month. And so just as a disclaimer, I've been working on figuring this out for well over a year, and I've tested about 10 different methods here, and this isn't fully baked out yet. The workshop that I'm hosting, my clients have been asking me as they've been coming in like, hey, can you share with us what you've been doing? And I'm like, well, I'm not like the snazzy acquisition method guy. That's not my main focus. That's not my main business. And so I'm like, I'm happy to share with you what I'm doing, but it's all subject to change. And so I'll just say to you, most likely with your existing business, you don't need a huge overhaul because this has been a relatively expensive experiment for me. It's been profitable as well, to be very clear, but I've tested a bunch of stuff, and every test costs both direct costs in like ad spend and stuff and opportunity costs of leaving money on the table, full well knowing that I could have just like booked and closed people along the way and probably most likely made a decent amount more money. But I'm building for the long term, and I want to set myself up for autonomy and stability and not have to babysit a whole team. So that said, I'm just going to share with you what I've done. And if you want to go further, you can check out the workshop or our other videos on this channel. All right, cool. All right, so for this really to make sense, I need to kind of share with you where this piece fits within what we call our bulletproof protocol. And that's the protocol that we follow to get our clients a lot more profit, a lot less stress. And there's 7 components. So real quick, I'm just going to gloss over those. I have other videos that dive deeper on this, but I think it's important for you to understand the context here before we dive into like the tacticals. So our philosophy is we look at scaling an online business kind of like a map. We first have to understand where we are, then we have to understand where do we want to go. Then the little blue line shows up just like the GPS on your phone, and then all we do is follow that blue line. And so most online coaches, they don't even have a track to begin with. They have a vague idea of where they're trying to go. They don't really understand exactly where they are in terms of the exact metrics and KPIs. And even if they do have a track, it's really easy for them to get off track. There's things that happen that cause us to go off track. And these are fears, doubts, frustrations, feeling guilty, and depressions, and all sorts of emotional stuff that cause us to make emotional decisions. And we call that being mentally drunk. And when you're driving and you're drunk, you'll probably get pulled off track. The other way that you can get pulled off track is by seeing a shiny object, which this video has a high probability of potentially being a shiny shiny object for you. And I will just tell you that no matter what strategy that you use, there's always great benefits. There's always great drawbacks. There's equal amounts of suck, so to speak. It just takes a different form. And so we call this being mentally coked up. Like, yeah, I gotta go, gotta go. And so this is why Warren Buffett says, if you can't manage your emotions, you can't manage money. Is staying on track is relatively simple, but it's not easy because of those pesky little emotions. And so on the mind side of things, I wrote this book called The 7-Figure Mind Method. You can get it in the link in the description. Walks through the process that we take our clients through to effectively make sure that they don't get pulled off track by something that is going on mentally or emotionally. All right, so to continue with our quick philosophy here, we have the components of getting from point A to point B. We have the destination. So with your coaching business, the destination is your lifestyle that you want to live, the wealth you're accumulating and why you want to accumulate it, the vehicle, which is your business, the GPS, which is your tracking system, the speed, which is your monthly income, the fuel efficiency, which is your profit margin and how much effort it takes to create that income, the driver, which is your mental performance, and we have AAA, right? Wherever you are on the world, that's like a roadside assistance company. And this is your lifeline. And so most coaches, they have a vague destination, their vehicle's broken, the GPS doesn't exist or it's wrong, their speed's inconsistent, and they're kind of zipping all over the place. Their efficiency is very, very terrible, and the driver is stressed and distracted. And they are hiring coaches and mentors that are also in the same boat. So it's kind of like the blind leading the blind or the drunk leading the drunk. And so wealthy coaches, we call this intentional driving. They have a very clear and compelling destination. The vehicle is unbreakable. The GPS is clear and accurate. We have a consistent speed. We're very efficient. The driver is calm and focused. And the lifeline, their advisor, is aware and alert of the whole situation. And so when we have these components, a clear vision, an unbreakable business, clear and accurate dashboards, consistent revenue, high profit, we're focused and calm, and we have advisors that are objective and data-driven, not emotion-driven, well, good things tend to happen. And so we need all of these components. That's what we call our bulletproof protocol. And so there's 3 main checklist items for the vehicle here, and that is my offer consistently attracts and converts clients that I love. We have predictable systems for leads, nurture, sales, and delivery, and our clients get amazing results. If you're watching this, you probably have clients that get amazing results, and you probably have a pretty decent offer. And so we're going to be focusing on the predictable system part of this in terms of kind of a tactical piece of this to make your vehicle a little bit more bulletproof. All right, so let's look at this experiment that I did here. So the first part of this experiment really is basically a prerequisite. We first have to know our avatar before we do anything. I've taken well over 2,000 or 3,000 sales calls and talked to thousands of my target audience. So I have a pretty good idea of how you think and what your challenges are. And so if you don't know your target avatar, when you're selling without a sales team or setters or human-to-human contact, it's challenging because you're going to have a lot higher conversions when you're selling in person-to-person because you can think on your feet, you can handle objections there that are live and all that stuff and answer questions. Whereas if you don't have people involved, it's going to be really challenging because the only feedback that you get is they either took the action that you wanted them to take or they didn't take the action. And you got to go look at screen recordings and all this kind of stuff and kind of like piece it together, lots of surveying. And so you're just going to have fall off. You're not going to be able to convert those people that you might have been able to convert in some sort of a conversation. So you just need to spend as much time as you have to really get inside the mind of your target audience, and you need to get to know them better than they know themselves. So throughout this whole process, that is a huge prerequisite to this, and it is going to be a really long, hard struggle if you try to do this without lots of human-to-human interaction with your target avatar. So first, we got to know our target avatar. Then we need to speak their language. So you watching this video, hopefully it's relevant to you. If it is, at least just let me know this is relevant in the comments. But even though my views are relatively low, the quality of the people that are watching these videos, like you, thanks for being high quality, is really solid. So we have to like ruthlessly speak to our target avatar in all of our content because our content is basically replacing the sales and setter team. It has to build the whole relationship for us. And so the whole thing is optimized not around conversions, but it's optimized around consumption. And this is coming from somebody who has been a direct response conversion rate sales guy from like my whole career. And to be clear, like there's still stages of the funnel and conversion rates and whatnot to track. But instead of trying to go like, hey, buy my thing, handle objection, hard close, it's, hey, welcome to my universe, consume all my stuff. And so that's what we're optimizing for in this case. And so there's specific ways that I'm running Facebook ads. There's specific ways that I'm creating these YouTube videos. There's specific ways that I'm running my email campaigns to optimize for those hours of consumption. And that's what I'm going to be sharing on this workshop that I'm doing this coming week here. And if you're watching this after the workshop, I may have a link to buy the replay in the description below here as well. But I want you to start thinking about, how do I get my target audience in my universe? And then how do I get them to consume all of my stuff, basically? All right, so that leads beautifully into point number 3, which is focus on consumption. So there's the 7-11-4 rule, if you've never heard of it. I believe it was a Google study that was done that basically says somebody buys your thing if they have 7 hours of content, over 11 touch points, and 4 different platforms. So I'm using YouTube, our web builder, like for this sales page, that's on ClickFunnels. Then using obviously Instagram as well. This is where I do some consumption-based retargeting. We also engage them with ManyChat and automations and stuff. And we have a bunch of free training courses and stuff inside of our Circle platform as well. And of course, we email this, and I didn't include on here, but text messages as well. And so the big idea here is the ads that we run get the people into our ecosystem, and then retargeting forces consumption, not conversion. And that's basically why I'm leading with this book funnel, which you can check out in the description at $7. You can see all the upsells too if you want, so that I can liquidate as much of my ad spend as possible. And then there is the video book of this that is 2 hours long. There's a guided process. There's a mini course that comes with this, and it helps to build a relationship together. And this is the whole story of basically how I kind of went from being screwed, making no money, to I'll just say unfucking my mind and, well, making 8 figures. So it's a good read, and if you hate it, you get your money back. But everybody's going to be a little bit different in terms of what is the best content to get your target audience to consume. But I'm just giving you an idea of, again, what's worked for me. And again, I'm still testing stuff. And as a side note, one thing that I've learned about my target audience, that is 6- and 7-figure online coaches who have bought a lot of programs yet are still stuck, is that you guys tend to not opt into stuff. So running lead magnets is out of the question. You also tend to not buy a whole lot of low ticket products. Even though some of our best clients have come from running this book funnel, what I've found is you guys are lurkers. And so this is one of those things that maybe your audience is not an audience of lurkers, but you guys tend to not engage with content. You tend to not hit the like button. You tend to not comment. You tend to not do much of anything until you've consumed hours and hours of my stuff. And then when it finally comes time to potentially work together, inevitably, after not seeing these people on my social media at all, or in my ecosystem at all, it seems, they're like, yeah, I've been binging your YouTube channel. I've been watching your Instagram content. And about 20% of my clients started buying this book. So it's not been a total waste. But I need to then optimize for the audience of lurkers. And so that's partially why I'm making this video right here, is because there's a chance that you might be one of the rare few who taps the like button and comments, I'm a lurker. But even after that prompt, you're just like, oh, I don't know. I don't want to look too eager, because you've probably bought a ton of programs, and you know, ultimately, like, I have shit that I'm selling. The good news is that shit tends to make our clients a lot wealthier. But I digress. My point is we need to focus on consumption and spend 7 hours with our target audience. And that means we need 7 hours of content, and we need to force it in front of them if the algorithm doesn't do it. So once we get the right people in our audience, they've consumed our stuff, there's going to be a call to action. And so one thing I've been testing that has seemed to work pretty well is there's this link in my bio, you can check this out, that leads to this landing page. And on this landing page is basically a VSL. It's an overview of what we do, how we do it. And below that is a call to action here. And so I will give you away a little bit of game here. This is what we call a URL Genius link. So you can just go to URL Genius, put your Instagram link in bio or or whatever, but you can pixel this button right here and you can optimize Facebook ads to optimize for button clicks here. And or I'm giving you an opportunity, if you're not ready, that's a big commitment, get in the DMs, you can just go to my YouTube channel, which links here, or you can watch testimonials from our clients like Brandon Carter, Dan Henry, Eli Wild, Elliot Holst, Justin Saunders, Ravi Abuvala, Victoria Kennedy. We've got really, really solid case studies so that I can optimize for consumption, not necessarily conversion, so that by the time somebody actually does reach my DMs, they've basically almost been guaranteed to consume a decent amount of hours of stuff. And so they're pretty freaking warm. And then from that point, all I do is I have a ManyChat sequence that basically qualifies them to make sure that they're the right business type, the right revenue level, and only if they're qualified do they see our offer. And so then from that point, all the offer information gets shared to them, and it's just on a simple doc. All the pricing, all the structure, everything. And so in videos like this, I'll be like, hey, DM me the word bulletproof if you want to see all the details of how we work with people. And I have no setters, I have no closers, and it's basically designed to get a bunch of consumption and then weed out all of the people that aren't fits, so that if and when I do engage with somebody, it's only after they've gotten to know me, like me, trust me to some degree. They've already pre-qualified themselves, they've raised their hand, they know how much my stuff costs, and then it's just like answering a couple questions with a couple voice notes. And then from there, they fill out an application and I review those applications and I say, you're approved, you're not approved. And then I basically just give them next steps. I say, once you complete the client agreement, you'll be redirected to your onboarding form. And then once that's complete, you book your initiation call with me. Everything's pretty automated from there. I give them the link. I ask them to be really thorough on their onboarding form. They complete the client agreement. It redirects them to the onboarding form. They complete their onboarding form. And the first time that I ever talk to them is on our initiation call. And I let all of my content and systems do the heavy lifting, qualifying, and all that for me. So you can see the numbers here, back to my original screen share page thing, 32 applications. And so I'm really only talking to somewhere between 32 people who have applied and the 46 who came into the DMs that were qualified. And really the back and forth is basically like a couple of voice notes because of how my content is sequenced. And it basically trains my clients to not be a pain in the ass, basically. And you'll see it if you want to go through it. Just DM me on Instagram, the word bulletproof, and you'll basically see how the whole thing works. But this isn't a whole lot of people to talk to, especially when I'm not trying to like handle objections and close. At this point, they're either ready or they're not. And so we're not trying to necessarily like force people over the edge or objection handle. We're just going to let our content do the selling for us and pre-selling, so that the offer document is basically kind of the thing that just pushes them over the edge. And then they apply, they pay, and I basically say yes or no. And so here I rejected, was that 19 people, right, that applied. And I'm like, you know what? I don't think it's a fit. So I'm hand selecting these 13 here. And that's why the quality of my clients has been very, very high. And the integrity of our boardroom is freaking amazing. So if you want to see inside my ad account, if you want to see what our application process looks like, sure, you can funnel hack it. You can check out the link in the description to attend this workshop. I'll be going into quite a bit of detail about this and answering whatever questions that you may have, and we can chat on there. It's only $100, and if you don't like it, I give you your money back. It's a pretty no-brainer, and you get to keep the recording of it. And it is a workshop that I am hosting for my Bulletproof Boardroom clients. I just figured I'd invite you as well. Just understand that it is a work in progress and it's all subject to change. And it's really part of our cadence of what we do with our boardroom members over the first 12 months is first we establish that vision piece, right? We have to understand like what is it that we're aiming at in terms terms of a vision. And once we understand that, then I can personally reverse engineer kind of your path from where you are to where you want to go with the custom protocol. And I work one-on-one with all of my clients, so it's not cheap, but it's very leveraged. And so then the other components of the protocol over the 12 months we're tracking, which is huge. If you watch some of our other videos, you know that we have all of our clients get set up on what we call our TEDdy tracking system. Stands for track, evaluate, decide, and improve. And it basically tells us kind of a cheat code of what to do next in the business so that we don't have to guess. So we make data-driven decisions on an ongoing basis, not feeling-driven decisions. And so that's what allows us to basically stay on track. You can see what we did with Justin here. We took Justin from 18K a month to 434K a month doing this. Brandon Carter from 250 to over 600K a month. A newer client this year, Roderick, from 20K a month to 85K a month. And it's just about data-driven decision making. So that's a huge piece of what we do. And then we just clear the mental roadblocks with this 7-figure mind method and the expanded version of that, which we call our Bulletproof Mind system. And then we just focus on hitting KPIs and constantly optimizing the offer structure, the business structure, kind of like we're talking about here in this video, so that we can be as efficient as possible and have our vehicle be equipped to actually take us to the point that we want to go to. Because a lot of times we say we want a certain target, a certain goal, a certain income level, but our vehicle is not optimized nor efficient enough to actually get us there. And even if it is, we might not be hitting KPIs, or maybe we're hitting KPIs, but we have some roadblocks in the way that keep us from reaching our full potential, or maybe there's no GPS tracking system set up. And so we need all of those 6 pieces. And then on an ongoing basis, all I do is we get together on a weekly board meeting, and we have 3 times a year, we get together in person for masterminds. And then my clients have monthly one-on-one access to me. And so that's how we incorporate all 7 of the parts of this protocol. And the goal is kind of every 2 to 3 months, adding 10K a month in profit on an ongoing basis by our continual optimization process. And so far our track record has been pretty good in doing that. And so we do it based on this whole checklist for each one of those areas. And I actually made a whole separate video on that checklist so that you can kind of test to see where you kind of rank in having those areas of your life and business complete. So make sure that you check that video out, and I will see you over there. Thanks for watching.